I'd like to share with you in this week's Parshas Boy something very nice from the Rebbe's father, Rabbi Levi Yitzchok Zatzal. The Rebbe's father has a very beautiful remez, a hint in one word in this week's Parsha. As we know, there's a rule, Leka Midah, the Loi de Mize Beraisa, the Gemara says. There's nothing that's not hinted in the Torah. The Gemara has an interesting drash, an explanation, and Rabbi Levi Yitzchok will show how the entire discussion in the Gemara is hinted in one word in a pasuk. This week's Parsha, we have the whole mitzvah of Korban Pesach. Times at Beis Hamikdash, Jews would come from all over Israel, coming to Yerushalayim, to the Beis Hamikdash, and then they would have their Seder. In the afternoon, before the Seder, on the 14th day, the pasuk says, you should bring your sheep or lamb less than a year old, bring it to the Beis Hamikdash, they would slaughter it, and then they would take it and roast it, and they would have it for the Seder for that night. So it says, a pasuk, v'shochatu oisoi, they should slaughter it, kol kahal adas Yisrael. They should slaughter it, the entire congregation, the assembled of the Jewish people. Now the Gemara asks, how come it says three expressions, kahal adas Yisrael? Each one is a number of 10. A congregation is 10, an assembled of the Jewish people is 10, and Yisrael makes a minyan are also 10. So the Gemara learns out the three expressions, kahal adas Yisrael, that they when they come into the Azorah, when they come into the place where they shecht it and they're going to spray the blood on the Mizbeach, they have to come into three groups. Can't come in all the Jews in one shot. They divide the Jewish people into three groups, Kahal, Adas, and Yisrael. Each group, the Gemara says now, that we have a suffix, we have a doubt. What does the Torah mean? Since Kahal is 10, Adas is 10, Yisrael is 10, doesn't mean each group should have 30, or each group could have a minimum of 10. Since we don't know, the Gemara says that in order to cover all sides, we send in to the Azorah at least 30 for each group. And that's just to cover all doubts, to cover ourselves from all sides. We won't spoke about it another time. You can look back in the videos why did Hashem want 3, why did Hashem want 30. We won't go into it now. Now we're going to go with the Gemara says the interesting thing. That since we need over here at least one group of 30, and then we have 3 times Kahal, Adas, and Yisrael, which means each one is 10. And so the Gemara says, according to that, the minimum, just the key word over here, the minimum amount to fulfill this mitzvah, how many people do I need to show up in the Beis Hamikdash, in the Azorah, to fulfill this mitzvah of Shechita, the way the Torah describes it? The Gemara says, it'll come out, we need at least 50 people. Why? Why 50? So the Gemara makes a simple calculation. First, you send in 30, new 30 people. That's the first group. You close the doors. Then, I said, 10 go out, another new 10 come in. So now I fulfill the first group was Kahal. I send in another 10. I have Adas. 20 stayed already. So when the new group comes in with this new 10, this Adas, I have already also in the Azorah 30 people. They fulfilled the mitzvah of both. There's 30 there at the time. There's new 10. There's Adas. Everything good. Once we finish with that group, another 10 go out. The last 10 who were standing outside come in. And that's Yisrael. And then we also have 20 that stayed from before. So there's 30 there. And like this, we cover all grounds. We fulfill the mitzvah that there were 30 people there in the room at the same time. There was Kahal Adas Yisrael, new 10 people in each of the 3 times. And like this, we cover everyone. So the minimum is what? Is at least 50 people. Chamishim, 50. So we have a few things. On one hand, we have a total, the minimum, 50. First group, 30. The second and the third new people are 10. Says Rabbi Yitzchok, all this is hinted in one word of this week's Parsha. All Mefarshim ask, it says in the pasuk we said before, V'shachatu Isaac, Kol Kahal Adas Yisrael. Mefarshim ask, what's this kol over here? All. It just should have said V'shachatu Isaac. You should check it. Kahal Adas Yisrael. The congregation, the assembled, the Jewish people, and I would know the same thing. Why does it say 3? You need at least 10. You need at least 3 groups, etc. What's the word kol? Says Rabbi Yitzchok, in this word kol is hinted this entire discussion of the Gemara. The Gemara said, we said before, what's the minimum amount to fulfill all 3 groups and have 30 in there, and there'll be new 10 for each one, Kahal Adas Yisrael? What's the total amount? 50. Kol, Chaf Lamed adds up to 50. And then Rabbi Yitzchok explains, why is it actually the minimum amount of at least 50? Everything has a reason. So he brings down from the Zohar that says in Chelek Gimel, that Reis Samach Beis Omer Aleph, that there are 50 times, someone makes a calculation, 50 times in the Torah, it's mentioned about Yetzias Mitzrayim, the Jews going out of Egypt. Hinting to you, it's known the number 50 goes in the Jubilee year of Cherus, true redemption and freedom, and that's why there's the concept of the Jubilee year of everyone going out, and that's why there's the concept of the 50th day after going out of Mitzrayim, we get the Torah, Chamishim, all the same concept, and that's why the minimum amount of shechting the Korban Pesach is at least 50, add up to Kol, 50. Now goes Rabbi Yitzchok further. Kol is a Rosh Tevis. Chof Lamed. It's an acronym. What's the acronym? Kito Lamed. Group, a class, group of people. How many? Minimum of 30. You must send in 30. You must be inside 30 in each group. Now the Gemara says Rabbi Yitzchok, 30 I can make up in many combinations of letters. Here it's specifically, 50 you could make combination of many letters. Here it's Chof and a Lamed. The Chof and the Chof is 20, Lamed is 30. In these 2 letters, it's hinted this whole Gemara. Why? Very simple. Lamed tells you the first group you send in is 30. Lamed adds up to 30. Then what do? We send out 10 people. We're going to send a new 10 in order to fulfill this Kahal Adas Yisrael. We have 30 inside, 20 from before, and 2 newcomers. Then the second group, we also do the same thing. We send out 10, we send in another newcomers of 10. So there's also, we fulfill the mitzvah, we have at least 10 newcomers and there's 30 inside. So here in the letters of Lamed Chof, it's very simple. I have it hinted right over here. Lamed tells you the first group is 30. And then I have group 2 and group 3, I have newcomers of 10. 10 times 2 is 20, and that's the Chof. So the Chof and the Lamed tells you exactly the order of how the 50, the total of Kol, how are they divided in the groups, is exactly the letters of Lamed and Chof. So this whole Gemara of how you fulfill the mitzvah of Shechita in the minimum, really there was maybe thousands of people there, but the halacha is, the minimum was 50, to tell you about the 50 times of the Torah of Yetzias Mitzrayim, adding up the Chol, and how you make the group, Lamed and Chof, 30, the first group, and then another 10, 10, and that's how you get your 50, and that's why the letters are exactly Lamed Chof. So this whole discussion in the Gemara is hinted in this one word, Kol, to teach you this beautiful din. Leka mided le remizer beraisa.